When things start to crumble, it rarely happens in one loud, dramatic moment. Usually it's much quieter, a slow unraveling, small signs piling up, weighing on you bit by bit. That night, I waited for Samantha to come home. Midnight came and went along with my patience. She had gone out with friends, saying she needed some space. But when the door finally creaked open and I saw her, my stomach sank. She looked like she'd been through a storm. Her hair wild, clothes loose and rumpled like they'd been pulled at. Then there was something else I couldn't ignore, a faint wetness on her thighs. I froze. The air around her carried a scent. Not hers, not mine, but someone else's cologne. A stranger's. I said nothing as I helped her bed, cleaning her up silently, trying to push down the dread gnawing at me. "What happened, Sam?" I asked gently, though my voice trembled. Her eyes were glassy and unfocused. She barely met my gaze. It didn't mean anything. Just once. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her words thick with alcohol. Those words hit me harder than anything else could. Sorry for what? I wanted to scream. I needed answers, but didn't press her. Not then. Not while she was like that. I swallowed my questions, my anger, my heartbreak. I tucked her in and slipped out of the room, barely able to breathe. Part of me clung to hope that there was some misunderstanding. But deep down, I already knew something had happened, something that might be unforgivable. By morning, when the alcohol had worn off, I knew it was time to face the truth. I hadn't slept. My mind replayed everything. Her words, the scent, the way she looked. I sat at the kitchen table. Photos spread before me like silent accusations. Samantha appeared slowly, still wearing the same crumpled clothes from the night before. Her eyes were red, heavy with exhaustion and guilt. She froze when she saw the pictures I had taken. Not to shame her, but because I needed proof, something real when my thoughts felt like a nightmare. Close-ups of stains, a faint handprint near her waist. I didn't want to believe it, but there it was, evidence I couldn't ignore. "Do you even remember what you did last night?" I asked, voice low, aching, not angry. Her face crumbled, and she broke down right there in the kitchen. Tears streamed down as her shoulders shook. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen. I couldn't take it anymore." "A mistake?" I repeated, cutting her off. "You didn't just stumble into this. You made a choice. You went to that bar, got drunk, and let someone else touch you." She tried to explain, blamed the alcohol, said she wasn't thinking clearly, but it didn't matter anymore. Her apologies felt hollow, like they weren't meant for me, but for herself, to ease her own guilt. That realization gutted me more than anything. "I need some air," I said, standing up. I couldn't stay there, watching her cry for herself. I walked out, leaving her alone with the damage she caused. You don't just brush something like this under the rug. Not when trust shatters. Not when your whole world feels like it's crumbling beneath you. I tried to bury the questions, but they clawed their way back. Who was he? Why her? And most of all, how long? Her confession was messy, but one name slipped out. Adam. That was all I needed. With social media. It didn't take long to find him. Adam was exactly what I expected. Clean-cut, smooth-talking, the picture-perfect type who could get away with anything. What hit me harder was realizing he wasn't a stranger. Samantha followed him. He followed her. This wasn't a one-time accident. It was a connection. Then I discovered something that made my stomach twist. Adam was married. Not just married. He had children. His social media was a highlight reel of domestic bliss. Family vacations, birthday parties, weekend barbecues, warm morning routines. He looked like he had it all. But then again, so did I until now. The more I looked, the clearer it became. This wasn't random. It was planned. I needed more. I needed the full truth, even if it shattered me. So when she was asleep, I went through her phone. I told myself it was for closure, but maybe it was desperation. The messages were brief, casual, but damning. Adam had known she'd be at the bar. Their texts were light, teasing, just enough to show they share an understanding. He showed up because she'd be there. It wasn't coincidence. It was arranged. My hands shook as I read. They hadn't spelled out every detail, but they didn't have to. I saw enough. It wasn't some drunken mistake. It was deliberate, calculated, and that broke me all over again. It was obvious they both knew exactly what they were doing. Watching them together left no doubt. That was when I made my decision. Adam's wife deserved to know who her husband really was. She had a right to the truth, just like I did. After confronting Adam, my next step was to focus on Samantha. The divorce was already in motion, but I needed closure before I could fully move on. I had his name. I had the proof. Now I had a plan. This wasn't about revenge. It was about doing what was right. I wrestled with whether to reach out to Adam's wife, Charlotte. Some might say it wasn't my place, but I didn't see it that way. She had every right to know. I sent her a message, carefully worded, asking if we could meet. She replied the same day, and we arranged to meet at a quiet cafe downtown, a neutral spot where emotions wouldn't spiral out of control. When I arrived, Charlotte was already there. She was sitting alone at a small table. She had a calm, understated presence, dark hair pulled back, dressed simply, but with a nervous energy that gave her away. She seemed confused but greeted me kindly. The moment she mentioned Adam, I saw the affection in her eyes, which made what I was about to say even harder. I didn't soften the blow. I told her directly. Her husband had been having an affair with my wife. Her smile disappeared instantly. Her hand trembled as she lowered her cup. For a moment, she just stared at me as if she couldn't quite comprehend what I just said. Then I laid out the proof. Screenshots of their messages, photos from that night, even a recorded confession where my wife had mentioned his name. She looked at everything in silence, her face growing paler with each piece of evidence. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. Not yet. She sat frozen, trying to process it all. When she finally spoke, her voice was shaky but steady. She thanked me for telling her. I nodded and stood up to leave. There was nothing left to say. What happened next between her and Adam was their problem to handle. As I walked away, a storm of emotions churned inside me. Anger, relief, guilt. But I knew my focus had to be on reclaiming my life and starting by letting go of what remained of my marriage. Back home, everything felt different. The house didn't feel like home anymore. Samantha moved through the rooms like a ghost, weighed down by guilt. I could see it in every glance and every word she said. She was desperate to make things right. Tears, pleas, promises. She said she'd go to counseling, do whatever it took to fix us. Please don't give up on us, she whispered repeatedly. She left little notes everywhere, hidden in my coat pockets, on my pillow, that said things like, I love you and I'll never hurt you again. At first, I read them. Then I stopped. She started cooking my favorite meals every night, hoping to bring some sense of normalcy back. But I couldn't sit across from her and pretend nothing had happened. Part of me wanted to believe her, to forgive, to save what we had built. But every time I thought of her, I saw someone else. The pain hit me like a punch to the gut. The trust and respect were gone. One night, she found me in the living room, her face swollen from crying. Her voice broke as she called my name. Please, Brad, I love you. I'll do anything to fix this. I looked at her, really looked, and said calmly, I don't think so. She collapsed to the floor, sobbing as if her heart would shatter under the weight of it. For days afterward, the house was silent. No shouting, no begging, just a heavy stillness that followed everything she had done. I had hoped counseling might give us clarity, but deep down, I already knew some wounds couldn't be healed. During those quiet days, I focused on preparing for what came next. I sorted through papers, finalized accounts, and packed away memories. I revisited every laugh, every fight, searching for something worth holding on to. In the end, it wasn't enough. One morning, I found her sitting on the living room floor, staring at the ground. Her eyes were red and swollen, and her body sagged with exhaustion. I held the divorce papers in my hand, hesitating, not because I doubted, but because I understood the weight of what I was about to do. You made your choice that night, I said steadily. This is mine. I placed the papers before her. She went rigid, her hands trembling as she reached for them. Brad, no, please. she begged, her voice cracking. "We can fix this. I'll do whatever it takes." She dropped to her knees, clutching my hand like it was the only thing holding her up, but I knew it was over. I gently pulled my hand away. "I can't," I said. "I've tried, Sam. I really have. But I can't look at you the same way anymore. I can't look at us the same way." My voice didn't rise. It didn't have to. The finality hung in the air. I walked away, leaving her sobbing on the floor behind me. As I stepped out of the room, a strange calm washed over me. There was grief, yes, but also relief. For the first time in a long while, I could breathe again. This wasn't the ending I wanted, but it was the one I needed. Some betrayals cut too deeply to ever heal, and hers was one of them. It's strange how something that once meant everything can end in such emptiness, but that became my new reality. I left the marriage alone, but free. At first, I couldn't even sleep in our bedroom. Her scent lingered, bringing back memories. I stayed on the couch instead. Slowly, things began to change. I shifted my focus from what I'd lost to what I could build. I got new furniture, rearranged things, repainted the walls. It wasn't just about changing the space. It was a declaration. This is mine now. I wasn't just rebuilding a house. I was rebuilding myself. The cracks were still there. The scars remained. But over time, the pain lessened. In their place, something new began to grow. Peace. I don't know what became of Samantha. After we signed the papers, we stopped speaking. I heard bits and pieces. That her life was difficult. And maybe that was as it should be. People say time heals all wounds. But I don't believe that. Time doesn't erase pain. It just teaches you how to live with it. For me, healing meant learning to embrace solitude. I'd rather have quiet peace than a life shadowed by betrayal. As for Samantha, I hope she learns to live with her choices. Not for me, but for herself. In the end, we both lost something. I lost the woman I thought I knew. She lost the life we had built together. But the difference is, I found something in return. I found myself. And that made every painful step worth it.